Hey, what's going on, everybody? I was making this video. I seen that Stellantis, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, they're hemorrhaging for fucking money right now. They done lost about 30% of their sales all across the board. I think the worst is the Jeep because that was the only thing that was selling at these dealerships. Everybody, once they took the Hemi out of the truck, everybody quit going there, and they don't even want the 5.7 back. So the pickup trucks, they're fucked over at Stellantis, Ram. Dodge, they only make like two vehicles. That's the Durango and I guess they only make one vehicle. Yeah, they only make one vehicle. Okay, the Charger. That's right. Okay, so the Charger and the Durango, that's the only two that Dodge makes. And then there's Ram. They only make the pickup trucks. And then what's the other one I'm trying to think of? Chrysler. That's it. Chrysler, the one that, kind of ran the company for, 50 years. The ones who had actually invented the Hemi engine. Chrysler the Chrysler Corporation engineers. They're the ones that invented the Hemi, not Dodge. They only make one vehicle, Chrysler, and that's the Chrysler Pacifica minivan. So yeah, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Stellantis, they're not looking good. And they just took out another $5 billion to basically add on top of the debt that they've already been accumulating. It's not looking good for them. Not looking good at all. People aren't going to go out there and buy I'm not going to name off all the Jeep models because their Jeep is the only thing that they're really even trying anymore. Like the Dodge basically became a toy. That's what the Durango and the Charger are. They're toys. The truck, it's a piece of fucking shit. It doesn't hold up anywhere near as good as a F-150. And then the Silverado is way better than it, structurally sound. It's just the engine. If you can get the engine, squared away, Chevrolet's a lot better than a fucking Ram when it comes to build quality. Just take the engine out. Just take the engine out of it from that. I hate it the GM's doing this because you try to talk about it, it fucks up the whole goddamn thing because their engines are blowing up left and right. So, fuck. But yeah, I don't like Ram. I seen in 2018 they were going the route of we're gonna make it look like a fucking Mercedes, a Cadillac, a Lincoln. We're gonna make it look luxurious. And that's where they fucked up. Luxury does not belong in a pickup truck. Not even in the Ford Raptor. That's what some people say. The Ford Raptor, that's kind of like a luxury truck. No, it's not. It's a fucking off-roading performance Baja truck. And for two, I agree that it doesn't need to be luxury. They need to get all that out of there and put some fucking racing seats in there or something. I don't know. The Raptors are badass, but I hate to say it, the Ford Raptor started all this bullshit. Started this whole stupid fucking truck bullshit. Got to have heated seats, cooled seats. All that was on the Raptor, I think, first. Like, it was the first truck to really pioneer all that bullshit that modern trucks have nowadays. So, well, that's what Ford does, though. Ford innovates, and sometimes the innovation's bad, and it ain't good. But Chrysler's hemorrhaging or Stellantis, they're hemorrhaging for fucking money. Running out of money, basically, which now they're operating at a loss now, I think. And the only vehicles they sell are Jeeps. And now nobody's buying them because a Jeep Renegade or a Jeep Wrangler, not a Renegade, a Jeep Gladiator. The Wrangler and the Gladiator, they're almost $60,000. They are $60,000 for a fucking Jeep. That's going to ride like shit. That's going to ride like a goddamn stagecoach or a fucking old wagon or whatever. Nah. So what people are doing is they're taking their money and they're going to Toyota. And they're going to buy a 4Runner. Or they're going to buy the Nissan Pathfinder. Or the Hyundai Palisade. Or the Kia Telluride. And I'm here to tell you, the Kia Telluride, it can do damn near about everything the Jeep Wrangler can do on a stock suspension. So what I'm saying is they've caught up to them. The Jeep does not have its off-roading dominance that it had like in the 90s and early 2000s. That's gone. With all these electronics, you can have electronic limited slip that acts and almost does just as good as a Dana locking axle. So yeah, the Danas are what Jeep is what Jeep uses, or Dana's. They're the best axles in the world for off-roading. So good that Ford even used them in F-250s and F-150s in the 90s and, a couple more times. So, yeah, they use what's good. They use what's the best product. And with all these electronics and all the way it's went, you can have a fucking little crossover SUV, little crossover, pretty much do what a 90s stock Wrangler could do. And that's, that's unheard of. Like, you couldn't take like a 90s, I don't know, because they didn't even exist. That's what I'm saying. Them crossovers didn't even exist back then. Like, the Jeep was the first crossover, kind of, with the Jeep Cherokee. That really was the first crossover. It's fucked up where they're going. So, yeah, nobody's buying their Jeeps. Nobody's buying any of that. Stellantis is about to go bye-bye, but that means bye-bye Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, too. GM, they got a couple years. GM, they're dumping money into the EV or whatever, so we're going to have to wait and see how the EV adventure that they're doing, which Ford, it failed horribly for Ford. Ford wasted $6-7 billion on it. Failed program, the EV program. The Mach program, the Mach-E program, I think that's what they called it. So yeah, General Motors, they're about to lose a shit ton of money. Stellantis, though, they've been steadily losing money since 2019. The truth is that Hurricane engine's been around for a couple of years, and they were slowly putting that Hurricane in all the trucks. And then last year, they got rid of the Hemi for the Ram, and then for the Ram 1500, they got rid of the Hemi, and you could only get that 6-cylinder turbo. Well, the Mopar guys, they fucking cried and bitched and whined like fucking little babies, They've let their company basically be destroyed. They've let Chrysler basically fall into such a bad state that I don't even recognize the Chrysler Corporation no more. Not from like when they were making PT Cruisers and shit like that, and people mocked the PT Cruiser. Well, hey, why you mocked it? Now they're going to go out of business. You ain't going to get no fucking Charger no more. Or no Durango. So maybe you should have liked the PT Cruiser. I'm kidding. The PT Cruiser, it's so hard. It's so hard to like. It's just so hard to like, I know, guys. They weren't the best of vehicles either. Like, if you wanted to do work on them, you had to pull the engine up out of them. There wasn't enough room. That car was a disaster and probably what led to Chrysler's downfall. But not even kidding. Like, that probably was their downfall. Is the PT Cruiser. I hate to say it, but it's true. I respect the Chrysler Corporation way more than I do Dodge or Jeep. Jeep is cool. Jeep helped win World War II. I love Jeep. But as a corporation, Chrysler, they're the ones who innovated. Their slant sixes that they had, the 225, one of the most reliable engines ever made. And when they made the 4.0 that went in them Jeeps and went in a lot of Dodge trucks, it was basically that 223, oversized a little bit. They put, got the carburetor off of it, took the distributor, put electronic fuel injection, electronic ignition. And that engine, it served them for a long time. Not as long as the Slant 6 or the 225, but that 225 is like the Ford 300 or the Chevy 292. These engines are legendary. They will run forever. They will outlive any fucking modern day engine. It's just, they were made right, man. They were made like tractor engines, basically. They were real low compression. If you hopped them up at all, that's when they just blow up or whatever. They had one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to get the vehicle around town, get you from point A to point B, and be as reliable as possible. They didn't get good fuel economy, but they got better than a V8. 15 to 20 miles to the gallon. If it was in a Chrysler car or, in the truck, that's when it really fell off. So, yeah, in the old Dodges, you probably work better getting a V8. And I know the old timers will say it. Oh, no shit. Yeah, no shit, get the V8. But that Slant 6, it served its purpose for Chrysler, and it was like the Ford 300 and the Ford 250, I can't remember. But basically, just like how the straight 6 for the Ford, it served Chrysler as their workhorse. Chrysler also invented the Hemi. The Chrysler Corporation, they invented the Hemi for NASCAR. And they wanted, it was all about NASCAR. That's why it was invented. But then they used it in, their street cars, and there's a lot of them big Chrysler, just 4-door town cars, just a huge fucking car, meant, a family hauler. What the SUV and the truck is basically replaced. There is no full-size car. The last full-size car to be made was the Crown Victorian, the Ford Crown Victorian. I guess the Lincoln Town Car. The Lincoln Town Car, that was even bigger than the Crown Vic. That was a big-ass car. The mobsters, they loved them. You could fit a lot of stuff in the back, if you know what I mean. And they're big cars. Big fucking cars with a big trunk or boot. So, down here we call them boots. Up there, trunks is what it is. But yeah, it's sad, and it's just sad to see what's happened to the Chrysler Corporation. And I'm not the only guy. There's a lot of people who aren't even Mopar fans. Like, I wouldn't even say I'm a Mopar fan. Like, I don't like the Mopar guys. I believe they're the reason why there's only 2 Dodges being made right now, and there's only 1 Chrysler, and there's all them Jeeps. That's because of them retards. They just wanted the Hemi, and that's what they think of them. The Tim Kanaskes, or whatever his name is, the CEO of Ram, the Ram fanboys, or whatever, the Mopar guys, they were like, we want a single cab truck with a manual and a 6.2 or 6.4 liter Hemi as a, kind of like the F-150, because the F-150, you can get the 5 liter, a single cab short bed. Well, that's what they wanted, really. Well, that dude said, yeah, that ain't never happened. And he said, that's such a tiny, tiny truck. Why would you want such a tiny, tiny, tiny truck? So they want to sell you fucking crew cabs. They want to sell you 4 doors, because when they're producing these goddamn things, it doesn't cost them any more to build the double cab or build the single cab. Now, it might cost them like $5,000 more. But you go and look up what a single cab, fully loaded F-250, and then go look up the crew cab one. It's almost $40,000 to $50,000 more. So yeah, it costs them $5,000 more. They charge you $40,000 more. You understand what I'm saying now? So, and they got you too, because now there's no cars. They don't make any fucking cars. So it's either that or a Ford Explorer. It's either F-150 Ford Explorer or a Mustang over there. And they know the Mustang's a toy, so nobody with, no practical person's really going to own that thing unless they want to have fun with it. Or look badass or have it as a status symbol. That's the only reason why you own them cars. And if you're not having fun with them, you wasted your money. When I mean have fun with it, I mean take it to a track or something. I mean really, really get that car out there. These idiots, they drive from red light to red light. They're fucking paying $100,000 to drive red light to red light. You can do that in a fucking single cab pickup truck. A lot of people, they're the only driver in these fucking cars. The truck, it got, can seat goddamn 6, 7 people. It's a crew cab. Double cab. And most of these people, they're driving it from here to work and back. And, their family hops in it or whatever, maybe here and there, but most of the time, there's only one person driving that vehicle. It's a fucking waste. They got Americans right where they want them. They're ready to go out of business. They refuse to make cars at this point. That's what Donald Trump was talking about, how Americans said years ago the American car was dead. It is still dead. Until they start making cars again, it's dead, Trump. There's no ifs and buts about it. And that's all them MAGA Trump supporters. I hate to bust your fucking bubble, but I don't think the cars are coming back. Ford, they might make an affordable pickup truck, and they'll make that car that they showed, which looks like a Ford fucking Fusion to me, a long Ford Fusion. Which, if that's going to be a full-size car, I'm here for it. But it'll be the same thing. They'll make it, and they'll have it there, and people, they'll go look at it, and they'll be like, the Toyota's $5,000 to $10,000 less. Oh, and the Toyota historically has ran better, has lasted longer. I'll just go buy the Toyota. That's what happened. That's the entire downfall of the American car company in one nutshell. They went and bought the Toyota or the Honda or the Nissan, the Kia, the Hyundai, the BMW, the Audi, the Volkswagen, the the Fiat. You know, I could just name them. I could just keep naming them if I wanted to. People wanted to save $5,000 and they wanted it to last a little longer. No, you know, and you have a right to buy whatever the fuck you want. It's your money, but don't cry whenever there's no more Jeeps. Whenever you bought a Toyota, you bought a Honda, you bought a foreign made or a foreign owned company, you bought their automobile or their car, their vehicle. Don't get sad and don't get mad whenever the big three's gone. Ford, they'll survive. Ford, they sell so many goddamn fleet sale pickup trucks of their 150, 250, 350. I mean, they sell a lot of them Mavericks too. I think the Maverick was the second most sold truck behind the F-150. So, yeah, Ford ain't hurting. The Maverick is actually, people, they're willing to pay $30,000 for a fucking Maverick. It's outlandish, man. It's outlandish. You do the fucking math, dude. A Ford Ranger, fully loaded, I would say. Fully loaded, everything. Just, you know, it wouldn't have heated seats because they didn't do that in the Rangers. I'm talking about the OG Rangers. Not these piece of shit ones they build nowadays. The OG ones, the small compact, small pickup truck ones. The one that, you know, it literally slaps the fucking big trucks around until you hook a trailer to it. And then that's the only reason why the other trucks win. It might beat it in a little drag race, you know, but you take them things off-road and yeah, the Ranger, it shines. I mean, it's just as good as a Jeep. It moves just as fast as a Jeep, put it that way. But yeah, you go back to that time period, a Ranger was probably $15,000. It was half the price. So, I mean, and the Maverick is not even as good. I think the fully loaded Ranger could tow about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds in a trailer. The new Maverick maxes out at 4,000 with all-wheel drive. Meaning, if you put the Ranger in four-wheel drive, you could probably tow just 1,000, probably 1,000, 2,000 more. I've seen ridiculous shit like Rangers pulling, 40-foot goddamn cow trailers down the road at 60 miles an hour. And, it's the most dangerous thing you ever seen, but it's amazing because it's doing it. It's pulling it and it doesn't blow up. It's because they're built. That's because they're built Ford Tough. But back when built Ford Tough meant something. But, nowadays it's all, they're going down the path of them others, the other two. So it is what it is. The 5 liter is about the only good engine they, truthfully. The EcoBoost was a fail. I won't get into that because it doesn't matter because you're going to get a 5 liter anyway. So the EcoBoost, that's all Ford corrected basically, where GM and them, they refused to correct. So it's a different scenario, different outlook on it. And I guarantee you get that Maverick off-road and you put some knobby tires on it, you get a Ranger that only had about 20,000 miles on it, and you get a Maverick with 20,000 miles. And I guarantee you that Maverick will either break down or it'll start pouring smoke from the engine bay because it'll blow the goddamn head gasket. A little EcoBoost. The fucking turbo will blow up or something. Something will go wrong on it. And it will break where that Ranger will continue going. Them Rangers are tough trucks. Like the only other truck that's probably more rugged than it is a Toyota Helix or the older Tacomas, which you're gonna pay for an older Tacoma. You ain't getting it for $5,000 or $6,000 no more. Oh no. Try about 15 to 20,000, and they're worth it. They're good trucks, just like a Ranger. Like if it's in good condition, it's worth $10,000 to $15,000. I wouldn't go any below that though. I wouldn't go below the 10,000 mark. And I wouldn't go below the 100 and about 120,000 mile mark, depending on what engine it is. Like if it's the 4-cylinder, you need to go ahead and replace the timing chain on it. If it's V6 engines like the 4.0, they're nightmares to work on. Nightmares to replace the timing chain. So you probably want to stay away from that. And then the 3-liter Vulcan, that's pretty much the most reliable engine. One of the most reliable engines Ford ever built. So that's the problem with these new cars. You run it low on a quart or two of oil, catastrophic failure in the engine. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled my dipstick on my Ranger and been like, oh shit, I'm down 2 quarts. Glug, 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 glug. Fires right up, get me right up the goddamn road. Continues running. You do that with one of these newer vehicles, it's catastrophic failure. Catastrophic failure. Because the tolerances are too tight. Like with the Chevys, them valve lifters, once they seize up in the engine, you got to use a slide hammer to get them out. They're not just going to just come right out. Because this machine's so precise and the tolerances are so tight, when that slides down in there, it's, you know, it's perfect. It's almost perfect. It's as perfect as you're going to get without it being perfect. And the difference is the old Vortec engines, you know, in the Chevrolets that are good engines. Them Vortecs are great engines. They run forever. They had a little bit sloppier tolerances. And I mean sloppy, people think I mean sloppy. I mean, they think I'm talking about like a bicycle chain or something. I'm talking about just a thousandth of an inch. Thousandths of a millimeter of an inch or whatever. You couldn't even see it with the human eye. If you had a Vortec lifter, you had a new L87, the new 6.2 liter. If you had the 6.2 liter lifter and the old like 5.3 Vortec, you couldn't see it. Like you had them, you couldn't see it with your eyes until you put it under a microscope. But that little bit more tight tolerance is why these engines are failing, and that's why they had to make the oil so light. Of course, now Chevrolet, they're calling it the super oil. They're putting, I think it's 0W40 in it. And that might fix it, it might not. I don't know. And they did all that because of fuel economy. They had to make the engine run as clean and as precise as possible. Well, it can't take it. Toyota is experiencing the same things. I think the 5 liter, the 5 liter is probably about the same tolerances, but it's a different kind of engine. It's not a push rod engine. It's not using that stupid cylinder deactivation or active fuel management. I think all the F-150 or the 5 liter had was just the start stop. That's computer controlled through the PCM, the onboard computers. So I mean that's a simple fix. What GM's gonna have to do is take the active fuel management out of it, take the cylinder deactivation on it. Maybe get the lifters back over here, because I found out the lifters are being made overseas. You know, GM, get the lifters back over here, made in the USA. I'm sure these problems, they'll disappear overnight, and the 6.2 would be arguably probably a better engine than the 5.0 because it's a bigger displacement engine. You're going to be able to get more power from it probably. That's a big maybe though. I mean, the 5 liter, dude, that thing is the best engine on the fucking planet for modding and turning it into a hot rod. You can drop that thing in an old Mustang and retrofit it, and it'll run 10 times better than the old 287 or the 351, 302, 427, 390. Basically, the legendary Mustang motors that 5 liter basically makes obsolete. It did make it obsolete. But see, that's what Ford done though. They chose an engine, the 302, and they ran with it. Maybe that's what General Motors needs to do. Pick between the 6.2 and the 5.3. Pick one and just run with it. I would say Stellantis, but Stellantis, they're European owned, and their European minds are running the company. So the way they looked at it was like, we're going to run the Hemi as long as we can and please the retards, basically, the Mopar fans. But what they didn't realize was the Mopar fans were the only ones that were buying their fucking vehicles. People who work with their trucks. They go and buy an F-150. They don't go buy a fucking Ram. And now they're trying to pivot. Ram and Stellantis. They're saying, oh, we're going to offer a work truck. And I've seen their work truck in videos. It's a piece of fucking shit. The fuck was that? Oh, fucking goddamn truck backing up. I was wondering what the hell that noise was. Goddamn fucking truck backing up, making a hellacious noise. Probably broken. But yeah, I see this video. This video's going on 24 minutes. We'll go ahead and end the video. But yeah, it's not looking good for the big three at all. So Ford, they continue to sell their trucks or whatever, but once people quit buying them trucks or whatever, they decide, hey, I'm gonna hold on to this truck for a couple of years. Then boom, that's it. Ford, their sales are out the window. So they're gonna have to start making cars again, which I think is too late for a Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Stellantis. GM and Ford, they'll be able to do it. But GM's gonna go down the path of making EV fucking cars, so I'm not gonna be looking forward to anything they make. So I guess it'll be up to Ford to make cars, to make a gasoline non-turbo, just basically a point A to point B car like what they used to make, like with the Fusion and the Taurus and all that used to be. What they showed in that picture though, that looked like a full-size car, something about the size of a Crown Vic. That's what they really need to bring back, the full-size car. But yeah. Everybody have a great day. I'm going to end the video. I gotta take a fucking piss.